So, something pretty wild just came out of an economic forum in Russia. A top official made this explosive claim that the United States has a secret plan, a plan to use crypto to essentially erase its entire national debt. We're talking about nothing less than a potential reset of the entire global financial system.
And look, this wasn't just some random person talking. The guy who said this, Anton Kobiakov, he's been a senior advisor to Vladimir Putin for more than a decade. He said, and these are his words, that the U.S. is plotting to put its massive debt into a crypto cloud, basically leaving the rest of the world to deal with the fallout.
And the number at the center of all this, well, it's absolutely staggering. $37 trillion. That's the mountain of U.S. national debt we're talking about. I mean, it's a number so huge, it's almost impossible to really wrap your head around.
Now, I know what you're thinking. A crypto debt reset sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But the actual idea behind it, it's not new at all. In fact, it's one of the oldest tricks governments have in their playbook. So let's break down what it actually means to devalue your debt.
Devaluing debt is not the same as defaulting. This isn't like just refusing to pay your credit card bill. No, it's way sneakier than that. It means you pay back the exact number of dollars you borrowed, but you secretly make sure those dollars are worth a whole lot less than they were when you first took out the loan.
Okay, let me make this super simple for you. Imagine the entire world economy is just $100, and I borrow all of it from you. Now, because I control the money printer, I don't have to work to pay you back. I just fire up the printer and create another $100 out of thin air. So now there are $200 in the world, all chasing the same amount of stuff. I hand you back your original $100. On paper, we're square, right? But in reality, your money now only buys half of what it used to. I've paid you back, but I've devalued my debt at your expense.
And don't think for a second this is just some crazy theory. This is a strategy the U.S. has used over and over again. After World War II, to deal with all that war debt, during the crazy high inflation of the 1970s, and, yeah, most recently after the pandemic with all that money printing. So when this Russian advisor talks about it, he's not revealing some new secret plot. He's just pointing to a playbook that's been used for decades.
Okay, but here's where it all gets a 21st century update. The claim isn't just that the U.S. is going to inflate its way out of debt again. The theory is that this time it has a powerful new tool to do it on a truly global scale. Cryptocurrency, and specifically stablecoins.
So that raises the big question, right? If the US government can already print dollars and create inflation whenever it wants, why would it even need stablecoins? What makes them the secret ingredient in this whole plan? Well, it all boils down to two things: who feels the pain and who's in control.
Think about it. When the U.S. creates inflation the old-fashioned way, Americans feel it directly. You see it at the grocery store, at the gas pump. It's obvious, and it's politically very unpopular. But with stablecoins, the theory is that you can export that pain. The loss of value isn't just felt in America, it's shared by every single person around the world who's holding those digital dollars. It becomes a kind of hidden global tax with way less political blowback at home.
And this is where it gets really clever, because it creates this powerful feedback loop. You see, most major stablecoins are backed by U.S. debt, like short-term treasury bills. So every time somebody in, say, Argentina or Nigeria buys a stablecoin like USDC, they are, without even knowing it, helping to fund the U.S. government. The more the world uses stablecoins, the more built-in demand there is for U.S. debt. It just feeds on itself.
And here is the real genius move, if you want to call it that. These stablecoins don't have to be issued by the U.S. government. They can come from private companies. Just imagine an Apple dollar or a Metabuck. It feels like a neutral tech product, right? But you can bet it would be completely regulated and controlled by U.S. authorities. You get all the power of a government currency, but with the friendly face of a tech company. It's kind of brilliant in a sneaky way.
So, as you can probably imagine, the rest of the world isn't exactly jumping for joy at this idea. And their skepticism isn't just about some newfangled tech. No, it's rooted in something much deeper, a long, historical crisis of trust.
You want to know how we can tell they're worried? Forget the official statements. Just watch what they're doing with their money. Central banks in countries like China and Russia are buying up physical gold like there's no tomorrow. They're sending a very clear message. We don't trust your digital promises. We'll take the heavy, shiny metal that's been real money for thousands of years, thank you very much.
And this distrust, oh man, it goes way back. See, in 1944, the U.S. made a promise to the entire world. Every U.S. dollar you hold is as good as gold. Then, in 1971, President Nixon got on TV and just broke that promise. He severed the link between the dollar and gold. For the rest of the world, that one move proved that when the chips are down,
The US can and will change the rules of the game to save itself.
So you see, the core issue here really isn't about the technology. You could have a perfect, transparent blockchain that audits every single stablecoin, and it wouldn't solve the fundamental problem. The problem is trust. At the end of the day, foreign governments know that the US holds the ultimate power to change the rules at any moment, just like it did in 1971.
All right, so if the US can't just come out and announce this grand plan without causing total global panic, how could they actually pull it off? Well, the theory suggests they wouldn't use the front door. They'd use the back door. A quiet, subtle, and completely deniable approach.
Now, to really get why the backdoor approach makes sense, you have to look at the alternative, the loud, front door approach. Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, actually advised the Trump administration to do something incredibly aggressive. Sell off all of America's gold, plow that money into Bitcoin, and in the process, crash the value of gold held by adversaries like Russia and China. I mean, talk about a bold move.
Now, obviously, that never happened. Probably because it would have started a global financial war overnight. Which brings us back to the real question. How could the US get the strategic benefit of an asset like Bitcoin without openly declaring financial war on the rest of the planet?
And this is where the covert plan comes in. Instead of the Treasury Department putting out a press release saying, hey everyone, we're buying Bitcoin, which would be insane, it could just let the private sector do the work. It lets companies like MicroStrategy become a de facto Bitcoin ETF, soaking up hundreds of thousands of coins. The government just sits back and watches.
And then, down the road, once Bitcoin becomes so big and so globally important that it can't be ignored, that's when the government makes its move. It could simply acquire a major stake in a company like MicroStrategy, claiming it's a matter of national security, just like it's done with critical tech companies like Intel. And this is a classic playbook. Let private innovation lead the charge, and once it's too big to fail, absorb it into the national strategy. It's subtle, it's gradual, and it's deniable right up until the moment it's a done deal.
So that leaves us with the billion or maybe trillion-dollar question. Is this theory from Russia a paranoid fantasy, or are we getting a glimpse into the future of money and power? A clever way for the US to solve its debt problem and stay on top? Or is it the blueprint for the ultimate financial trap, one that could destabilize the entire system for everyone?